Let's do it. Hello everybody and welcome to AppleBruit podcast number 6, where we have a lot of things to talk about today. Actually, there's not a lot of things to talk about. There's exactly 14 things to talk about. And so I'm going to draw things out a little bit. Alright, here's the deal. I got 33 minutes worth of battery left. So that's 33 minutes to record, edit, and upload because I have no electricity in this house. And some of you might be wondering, if you have no electricity, how are you going to upload? Well, my neighbors don't have any password on their Wi-Fi, so I'm probably going to mooch off of their Wi-Fi for now. Until I get my electricity back, you know? And I'm sitting on my coffee table because this is where the source of light is. So I'm going to have to make do with what I got. All right, let's start things off with the first news of the day. And, well, actually, first news of the week. Actually, no, it's not technically first. You know what? Screw it. The iPhone 5 prototype gets NFC. What does NFC do? Well, let's just say you're buying chips and salsa, which is my weekend plan. You buy chips and salsa and you just scan your phone onto the register, you know, when you're checking out. And there you go. You purchase your chips and salsa. Where did 9to5Mac get this? Well, according from 9to5Mac, they found it from prototype hardware code dump. So, okay. And it's supposedly going to be integrated with Passbook. Passbook is Apple's newest iOS application where you can, buy, look at your airplane tickets and use it as a gift card for Starbucks in the Apple Store. And why does Apple want to do this NFC kind of buying things outside the web, right? Because Apple pretty much dominates the media consumption, media buying with iTunes and the App Store and the movies and music downloads. Why do they want to move into physical world? Well, that's because they have a crap ton. I think that's a technical term, a crap ton of credit cards stored into their system. So it would be easy for people to just say, oh, hey, my iPhone could do that. I'm just going to scan it. And obviously Apple's going to get a percentage of the transaction. Kind of like, well, actually, I don't know how many percentage there is. It can't be 30. For sure it can't be 30. Probably like 2% or something like that. And according to 9to5Mac, it's Jim Peters. Jim Peters of CITA is the main source of this story. And this is all according to him from, I think Jim went to China somewhere. And the New York Times from a long time ago said, oh yeah, this NFC thing is coming. I think that's a year ago. And they said NFC is coming, not for the 4S, but for the one after that. And McClellan of MasterCard hinted at it. So apparently there was an interview with Mr. McClellan from MasterCard, and he's like, well, we can't really do anything with our partners, and we can't really comment much on partners. So he kind of hinted on it. And here's my take of it. I think Jim from CITA wanted to be in the news because he was in a conference talking about the future of airlines. So of course he's gonna say, and he doesn't really have any basis on any of this stuff. I think I lied when I said Jim Peters was in China. I'm thinking of someone else, Brian White. But Jim Peters is in the airline industry, and he kind of just said, you know what, this is gonna be the future of the airline industry, and the iPhone is going to have it. I mean, that's all he said. He doesn't have any inside knowledge or anything like that. And it seems like, I said, it seems like a filler. So it might have been a slow news week this week, and I know it is a slow news week. All right, well, there goes the biggest news and the most things I can talk about. Everything else is downhill from here. You might as well just leave the podcast. No, don't leave the podcast, because there's a few things I'm going to talk about at the very end, which is actually pretty cool, from the Cult of Mac, and that is a tease. That is my first ever podcast tease. But what I would suggest is, you know what, if you really just want to hear it, just skip like 5 minutes from the end and skip the rest of the stuff. Anyway, next story. Hopefully you didn't skip this part. Where is it? Next story is from Patently Apple, and they talked about inductive charging, and it's because it got pictured in a patent. So Apple patents pretty much everything, all right? Like, if they could patent how to milk a cow, they would do it. And they had a picture of a dock which can do inductive charging with your iPhone. Some of you might not know what inductive charging is. Well, you put your phone on a table or on the dock, and you don't have to physically connect anything to the iPhone. As long as it's near that dock, it'll charge, and possibly sync as well. So I was wondering, is there really enough space on this iPhone? I mean, a lot of these engineers and pundits are talking about getting rid of the 30-pin connector and replacing that with the 19-pin connector. And a big reason for that is there is not enough room on this iPhone. So what if you wanted to put NFC? And NFC is pretty much like a coil of wire connected to your batteries. Does it really have enough room for that? I don't know. Next, 9to5Mac says iOS 6 software update. Actually, they didn't say this. There was a video of the iOS 6 software update gears moving. I don't know why this excites me, but I remember a long time ago, BGR, actually not a long time ago, a month ago, BGR said, oh yeah, in this iOS 6 update, we're going to have active application icons. So your application is going to move and animate. Well, this is quite possibly the first step to that. Now, I don't see it coming into, you know, every single icon in iOS 6. But apparently, if you already have iOS 6, so if you're a developer and you upgrade to the over-the-air update, you looked at your update settings, you are going to see the software. You're going to see the settings icon kind of animate. So if you guys don't know what it is, it's that gears looking gray, 3 gears, and they're all rotating. And I think that's pretty cool, but it does drain battery. Next, Apple Insider says that the iOS 6, or possibly further, iOS 7, 8, somewhere there, is quite possibly going to have 3D-like capabilities. What do they mean by this? Well, a developer looking around in iOS 6 found that when he looks at the volume button, the volume toggle in your music application in iOS 6, if you look at it and you tilt your phone around, it's going to do a sort of like glimmer, like a shimmer. So it fakes being 3D, and it uses your accelerometer at the moment. And my Apple Insider also postulates that, well, there could possibly be different graphical assets in your iPhone that can do this 3D. So instead of just glimmering, it could also be, let's just say some of the app icons are a little bit raised off the screen, or at least it looks raised off the screen, so they create a shadow. And depending on how you tilt that iPhone, the shadow is going to move. Now, I think this is pretty dumb. I mean, I don't really need it, but it will make things look cooler. It will make things look prettier. And it seems like Apple is going that way with all these live icons and shimmering effects. And actually, this reminds me of the story of Leo Laporte. Some of you guys might know him. Most of you guys probably know him. Leo Laporte, and talking about his goldfish, or not his goldfish, his aquarium in his Android tablet, because it has quad-core processing powers. So he's like, might as well put a desktop background of an aquarium in there where fish are moving around and you can feed it. And that seems like, the same thing with this whole 3D-like capabilities, where you don't really need it when it comes to performance, when it comes to, performing your tasks, but it would look cool. That's it. And Apple does the best thing. Apple is the best when it comes to looking cool. All right, and yeah. Oh. They also talked about, well, what if you wanted to go more intense with this 3D-like capability? Well, you're probably going to need directional light sensors. So the current sensors right now, all they can do is it's pretty much on or off. So is there this much light or very little light? And what they say is the next iPhone, or maybe not the next iPhone, but the future iPhones could possibly get some directional light sensors. So depending on where your light is, that's how it creates the shadow. And to me, that is a lot of processing power used up and wasted, and battery power wasted. So I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope Apple doesn't go like, and now we have 3D capabilities all over, in our iOS. I mean, when you get there, you kind of probably stop innovating in a sense of, you know, productivity when you being able to do. I'm rambling now. All right, next, The Verge. Hey, first time, guys. The Verge shows off an Apple TV being controlled with an iPad. And this isn't like an iPad mirroring into an Apple TV, because you can do that right now. But these developers, I forgot what their names were, and I would click on that link, but I don't have any Wi-Fi right now. And The Verge says, well, no, these developers created an SDK, I would like to say, of being able to control stuff in the Apple TV with your iPad. And an example is, let's just say you have a video running on your iPad and you kind of like flick the video out of your iPad and into the Apple TV, so you turn on AirPlay. So now you're watching the video in the Apple TV. Meanwhile, on the iPad, it's not a mirrored image. In the iPad, you can do other things in that app. So let's say look at actors and actresses, and maybe look at Twitter and tweet about, you know, what you're watching right now. So it kind of creates a dual screen. I just spat next to the camera. That's disgusting. I am disgusting. But so yeah, it would create double screen, which is my favorite. I love using two screens. In fact, if you're watching the video version, there is a television behind me that I use as my second screen. Pretty cool stuff. Next, Bloomberg reports that the iTunes would possibly get a revamp by the end of this year, and it really does need a revamp. And from this, I pretty much gather that it's going to be more about the iTunes store, but I'm looking at my notes some more, and possibly they're probably going to get a huge revamp, not just on the store. And okay, here's the deal. There's going to be this is the main thing that's going to happen. There's going to be iCloud integration. So you can look through your iCloud files from iTunes, which a lot of people have been clamoring for. So let's just say you wanted to pull some sort of document from an app from your phone that you saved into iCloud. Well, you can probably do that through iTunes. Also, they want to be able to share music. So let's just say I have music that I just bought and I want to share it with my brother, and I want to do it legally. They want to be able to give me the ability to share it to him and have him listen to this single piece of music. Now, obviously, it's going to be limited, so you can't just send your music to every one of your friends and they can listen. So, yeah. Also, Facebook and Twitter integration, of course, and they're asking a lot of these artists out there to put up multimedia stuff, so music, photos, videos. They want to put that into iTunes. So iTunes Store is not just going to be about music. So when you're looking at your band's page, they're going to have updates and videos and photos. And subscription is going to be unlikely. So Spotify is totally dominating the market right now. Spotify and Pandora totally dominating right now. And it's not very likely that Apple will create a subscription model for their iTunes, at least not now. And again, from Bloomberg, iOS 6 gets Yelp check-ins. I don't know why I wrote this, but apparently it's such a slow news that I got to write this in. And apparently you can now, in iOS 6, in the Maps app of iOS 6, you can now show people where you are. And I guess this is useful when you're trying to coordinate something in the city. So let's just say you're out clubbing because you're such a cool guy, not like I do that. You go out clubbing and you want to, tell your friends, hey, come to this bar, and they're too dumb to search the bar name. You can just say, I'm precisely here in the back alley because there's a huge lineup, and I'm a guy, and I'm not a pretty girl, because all the pretty girls just get in pretty much without lining up. Not that I'm bitter about that. Next, from the cult of Mac, talking about the podcast app could be monetized through iTunes. So Apple just released this brand new podcasting app. By the way, here's a gripe that I have about it. I have tried it out. It's super buggy, at least on my phone. Super buggy. And I don't know why, but the icon looks like crap. Apple is usually really good at choosing their icons, and this podcasting app icon looks like crap. Sorry, Apple, you're gonna have to update that or something. And And yeah, I was excited. I was like, hey, new podcasting app. I use Downcast right now. I used to use Instacast. So now there's Downcast, Instacast, what is it? Stitcher Radio, and iCast, and now there's this podcasts application from Apple. So I guess that's another application that you guys won't be listening to me from. So podcasting app. Let's go back to the story. End of tangent now. The podcast app could be monetized, and the Cult of Mac postulated that people are making money through podcasts right now. So whenever you do an advertisement, and actually I wrote a little bit of advertisement here. All right, here's an ad that I have for you guys. All right, this podcast is brought to you by water. Without it, we'll all die. Try water today and use the offer code BRUTE to get an extra 2-liter bonus. Damn. I have no, oh, here we go. I got a warning from my battery here. I have no sponsors at all whatsoever, and I don't think I'm gonna get any sponsors anytime soon either. But anyway, people are making money from these podcasts, kind of like, that ad that I told you about water. You guys should check it out, try it. And Apple also has a skip button. So a skip 30 seconds ahead, or I think 15 seconds back. And really, you would skip on all those ads. I do. I listen to a lot of Twit podcasts, and whenever Leo starts talking about a podcast that I've heard about before, I just go like, whatever. And then Downcast has a 2-minute fast forward button. I'm like, I just click, fast forward through all that stuff. And yeah, so possibly what I'm thinking is if you, maybe if you're some sort of a registered podcaster or you're a cool podcaster, maybe Apple's going to disable that skip feature, though that's my own postulation. That's nothing from Cult of Mac. What Cult of Mac thinks is going to happen is they actually found a redeem section in iOS 6 on the iPhone podcast app. There's a redeem section in there. So what they're thinking is you can probably redeem some sort of credits or maybe a gift card, or I don't know how it's going to work, but some sort of monetary payment towards the podcasters. And if Apple does that, since iTunes owns pretty much 90% of the podcasting universe, if Apple were to create some way to monetize through iTunes, I don't know how, I'm probably going to try to sign up and then be declined 2 days later. All right. Here's and now on to, hold on. I got freaking sound effects for this. Ooh, yeah. And now from New York Times, they say that Facebook is to ditch the HTML5 for Objective-C in their app because HTML5 takes way too long to do anything in. So they're going to ditch that. They're going to make a native application for the iPhone 5. Next. Oh, by the way, this is like the I forgot what H stands for. I'm looking at my notes and it says like I have H/ and then the short description. And headline, that's what it's for. Sorry, my brain is working a little bit too slow right now. Headline, iPhone 5 battery at 30% production capabilities. And this is from Cinna.com, from Apple Insider, from Brian White of Topeka Capital Markets, and he got this news from ifang.com. So this is like, geez, this is messed up, Man. So apparently Apple wants to launch this late August, but most likely it won't. It'll probably be in September. But I don't know why that's added into this article. The main article talks about, what the article talks about is that the iPhone 5 is at 30% production capability. So there's something wrong with producing these batteries, and I'm totally defeating. Oh man, I'm going slow. My brain is dying right now. I don't know what's happening. Let me get a drink of water again. All right, headline, iPhone 5, 30%. Next headline, iPad to release this summer with IGZO screen. And this is from Digitimes, and Digitimes gets it from Apple Daily News from China. And I don't think that's going to happen. Way too soon. No way is Apple going to release some sort of brand new technology that completely changes the iPad and the screen would be something different. Though, they did give it a new processor lately. So these new iPads right now have better processors than the older iPads. And so I guess it might be likely that they're going to give it a new screen, IGZO technology, as long as there's not a huge change in the thickness, or just there cannot be a ginormous change in what the iPad looks like. All right, next. Here's the section. I think this is going to be a freaking cool section of, this is like pie in the sky, totally out there, wacky stuff. All right, Apple Insider talks about autocorrect maybe getting a lot better than what we have now. Personally, I like the autocorrect. I can just sit there and type like a madman, and 90% of the time it gets it right. But what this new version of autocorrect would do is it will take into account the timing. So an example that they had is there. So if you there, Theere, and if you pressed EE kind of in a short succession, then they'll autocorrect it accordingly. Versus if you press THEERE, then they'll do something else. And they'll also take into account the location of the keys on the iPad and your speed. So more data used up. Also, they talked about speech. So whenever you do your dictation, Apple would like to be able to recognize whenever you're talking about an Apple store, the Apple store, or an apple. So know the difference between a name, Apple Store, or just an apple that you eat. Next, another one from rumors and postulations and pie in the sky stuff. Cult of Mac talks about a 1 terabyte SSD that could be made in sometime in the future. Because right now, how we create these SSDs is we have it in two-dimensional, kind of like flat. Sorry, I just burped. Disgusting. What is wrong with me? Hold on. I'm gonna get up off the thing, and I'm just gonna. All right, I'm back. I woke myself up. I punched a wall. No, I didn't. So a 1 terabyte SSD possible, because they're thinking of creating a 3D structure. So instead of just a two-dimensional kind of flatland thing, they're going to have 3 dimensions. And they talked about how this is a huge engineering challenge. And they also talked about how this could make things cheaper. Now, here's the thing. I don't understand how this can make it cheaper. How creating a 3D structure can make it cheaper. Because what you're pretty much doing is stacking a bunch of these on top of each other. And the technology didn't change. It's just that how you arrange the technology, that's the only change. So yes, you can see a 1 terabyte increase in these SSDs, but I just can't see why it would be cheaper. It costs the same amount to get, I just don't see how it could be cheaper. Unless there is some new technology when it comes to NAND structures that, I don't know, compresses things or uses a different material. I don't know. I don't actually know how these NAND structures work. All right, last. I think this is last. This is last. Last thing is from the Cult of Mac once again, talking about how the iPhone predictive caching will boost app boot time by 70% with only a 2% battery hit. Let me explain this, all right? So apparently, some developers out there, not Apple, have started testing these predictive caching. What that does is they know if you wake up, the iPhone knows that, okay, this person wakes up and they always check their email, and right after email they check Facebook. So the iPhone knows this from your habits. Looking at your habits for over time, they're like, okay, this person will check Facebook. So while you're checking your email and reading your email, they're gonna start loading some Facebook stuff in the background. So when you launch Facebook, you don't have to refresh anything. It's just there, which will make it quicker. And they say that by doing this, you increase your boot time, your app boot time by 70%. So you press that Facebook app button and, it's 70% quicker. But it only does a 2% battery hit. So to me, that is huge. That is a lot of benefits for the little bit of a cost of battery hit. And yeah, I guess that's it. That's it, everybody, for podcast. You know what? I'm gonna do this. There we go. Let's let's finish off the podcast with something somewhat exciting and positive. And now I have 8 minutes left in my laptop. I don't think I can upload and edit in that time, so I'm probably gonna go to the library and do this, or the Starbucks, or talk to my neighbor and just say, hey, you know, what's up? Well, anyway, that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching or listening, however way you consume this media. All right, bye-bye.